the conversation is more around, hey, I don't really want to talk so much about where to trim a little bit of money here and there and trim some of the fat. I want to figure out how to become a billionaire in this downturn, in this recession, right? Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today, we're going to be talking about what to focus on during tough times. Now, we probably keep hearing different things in the news about recession, gas prices, inflation, cost of living going up. It's getting harder and harder to buy houses because of various investors coming into the market and swooping up properties. Meanwhile, rents are also going up, and just the cost of living in general is kind of getting out of control and very tough for a lot of people to deal with, right? So, what exactly do we focus on during these so called tough times? Well, one thing is to remember that it is separation season, as many entrepreneurs at a high level talk about. This is the time where a lot of people go into their shells. They're like the turtles going into their shells. They're pulling back, they are withdrawing, they're playing smaller, they are cutting expenses in marketing, which you should never really be cutting. That's your way of generating new opportunities, right? But people start to cut expenses in the wrong places. And in fact, they are cutting things that are really investments that they are considering costs. Like cutting back on something that you don't use that doesn't generate money is one thing, but to cut back on your marketing budget, for example, is something else. And when a lot of people talk about separation season and pushing forward during times like this, when everyone is withdrawing, they mean doubling down on marketing, taking out those cheaper, billboard ads when other people are pulling back and they're not spending money, putting in money in those areas and going all in. One thing that happened was with the start of the whole pandemic thing in 2020, I remember hearing some podcasts talking about how a lot of advertisers stopped advertising. Brick and mortar stores, for example, that were advertising to get people to come into restaurants or stores or physical locations, pulled back on their ad spend because they couldn't have their doors open. They couldn't bring people in when we were doing the whole 2 weeks or 1 month thing to slow the spread that ended up becoming a little bit longer in some areas versus others. They stopped spending money on ads, and ads were extremely cheap in comparison to what they usually are. And I never really dabbled with that. I put a couple of dollars behind a couple of posts just to boost them, while other internet marketers and entrepreneurs went all in and doubled down and took advantage of the fire sale that was advertising online. While so many businesses were pulling back, many e-commerce brands started to go all in on Facebook ads and Google ads and pay-per-click and all those types of things to get more traffic, get more eyeballs, because people were still spending money, right? The way that they spent money shifted. Maybe they couldn't go to the gym, maybe they couldn't go to some local restaurant, but they were looking to buy stuff online, right? So focusing on where the opportunities go is one thing that you really want to do during these so-called tough times. And it's helpful to get around other people who are at a higher level. I was on a group business Zoom call the other day with several business owners across the world. And I noticed the different groups that I run in and hang out with, there's different conversations. So if I jump into real estate agent groups and we're on a Zoom call and I'm talking to fellow real estate professionals, many people are talking about, oh, we need to shift. A lot of people use the word shift because the market is shifting, it's changing. The interest rates are going up and a lot of buyers are waiting, and it's no longer the seller's market that it was where people were getting a million offers over asking price. It slowed down a lot, and listing agents are contacting the buyer's agents more frequently than before to see if their buyers are open and interested in submitting any offer at all so they can get these properties sold. But when I go into real estate agent groups, people talk about, we need to watch out for the shift. We have to prepare for the shift. The market is shifting. And it kind of screams to me, yes, it is changing, but a lot of what I hear revolves around, we need to withdraw. We've got to cut expenses. We've got to analyze all of our expenses and see where we can trim the fat, which I understand. I have done some of that myself in some areas where I'm like, I've been paying for this thing for 4 months that I don't even use. Probably don't need it. I can probably get rid of it just to allocate my dollars to more productive things that have a higher ROI or return on investment, right? But when I was in this other business group where there's a lot of, 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs and even like high 6 figure entrepreneurs, there are people who are figuring things out, doing big things and thinking bigger, right? Taking massive action. they see themselves as the people in that separation season who go the extra mile, who put in extra funds into certain marketing campaigns to take up market share, while other people withdraw and retract into their turtle shells, like we talked about earlier. So, the thing that I am most focusing on during these times and just going forward is just I'm always looking for opportunities, but how do I find out the best opportunities given the current market? There are certain people pulling back. That means maybe less competition in certain areas. Maybe it's time to double down on marketing spend, depending on your industry, to take up market share, to possibly acquire some of your competitor type things, right? That's what a lot of people are out there doing. And the paradigm shift between the two calls, when I talk to a lot of real estate agents on catch up calls, Monday mastermind calls, the conversations all around saving money, trimming expenses. It's taking longer to get paychecks and commission deals, commissions from deals closing. When I talk to the bigger thinkers in terms of the higher level entrepreneurs that have been in this game longer and are performing at an incredibly high level, the conversation is more around, hey, I don't really want to talk so much about where to trim a little bit of money here and there and trim some of the fat. I want to figure out how to become a billionaire in this downturn, in this recession, right? The conversations are different and people are taking more action depending on the circles that you run with. So make sure you are hanging out with the right people who encourage you to think bigger. So that's kind of what I'm doing. There wouldn't necessarily be one perfect thing to focus on during these kinds of times. I would just encourage you to, yes, maybe reallocate some of your funds if you're spending money on a certain thing and it's just not producing a return on investment. You may be able to redirect those funds to something else that may have a better ROI, or perhaps you could go back to certain vendors and renegotiate because they have so many customers canceling and pausing. If you just ask them and tell them, hey, I think I might be switching to a competitor, or I'm looking for more cost effective options. What can you do? Yeah, certainly go back and you might be able to get a lot of cost savings from people just saying, hey, if you just don't leave, we'll cut the price by X amount and you'll get, whatever, the same service or better service for a lower price. So you can get some deals there. You can save some money and cash flow there to put into other things. The other thing I would focus on, though, other than just cutting a couple of expenses here and there, is to really make sure to reallocate those dollars and put them into something where you can take over market share, you can maintain your presence, your marketing message, where you can double down and stand out among the crowd. Whereas other people are withdrawing, you'll be the one out there that seems to be everywhere, continuing to do business and stay consistent and take on, some of your competitors, clients, or prospects that haven't really heard from them. They may come to you and you can acquire more people. So that's what I wanted to talk with you about today. Personally, I know I need to take my own advice that I'm giving to you because I've gotten caught up in the whole like, oh man, things are kind of expensive and what am I going to do and how much money am I really going to spend and when am I going to see an ROI? I haven't spent too much on paid marketing. It's been a lot of organic and word of mouth and referral, which is honestly awesome because it's kind of quote unquote free other than spending time and effort to generate and nurture relationships. I'm not spending a whole bunch of money. Occasionally I may send out, Christmas cards, Thanksgiving cards, maybe tips, treats, cookies, or something like that to clients that gets delivered to their door. But overall, it's not an incredibly insane amount of money. I'm not spending 10, 20, 30 grand a month in marketing like a lot of people are. And of course, it's all relative. How much are you making back for each dollar spent? I remember when I talked to Billy Jean on my show, Billy Jean is marketing. He said, if you have a dollar and every dollar that you put into ad spend, you get $2 back, what would you do? You'd go and find all the dollars that you could, and you'd keep on doing that as many times as you could because you'd be doubling your money. That is essentially what happens when you do paid marketing the right way and you invest into campaigns that have some kind of return on investment. If you know your numbers, it literally just is a matter of putting in X amount of dollars and getting Y amount back, depending on what your numbers are, what your conversion rates are, what your profit margin is, and those types of things. So I know I need to do some more of that, trying to get into that separation season mindset and mentality instead of succumbing or falling for the withdrawing emotions that a lot of people have. Because if you look around, a lot of people are going into their shells, they're withdrawing, they're afraid to invest, they're scared to start that business, they're not talking about opening a second location at all right now. Whereas the people who really want to dominate, they're expanding, they're acquiring competitors, they are going all out with their marketing, and they are kind of doing all or nothing. Hey, let's go all out, let's take over some market share, and let's play as if we are going to destroy all of our competitors, because you have to have that mindset and that hunger to stand out. Because if you're just kind of rolling with it and you're just there and existing and no one knows who you are or what you do, chances are you're not going to be in the separation season mindset. You're not going to be way ahead of the pack whenever this thing changes or whenever we come out of this recession. While some people are scared and they're not spending money, other people are going all out. And they're this one guy I'm thinking of, he didn't know what color truck that he wanted. So he ordered two trucks that are $100,000 each, different colors, just to see what it looked like in person. And once he got the truck that he liked and he made his decision, he came around to our business group and made an offer to like fellow people in that group, like, hey, I've got two trucks. I didn't know what color I wanted. I'm trying to sell one of them, it's 100K. I'm not trying to make a profit off of you. I just thought I'd ask here in this group first before I go to someone else. And my understanding is, I believe you already sold that truck, but some people are at that level where they're buying two trucks because they don't know which color that they like. And then once they see the color they like, they're just selling the one truck off. Like, that's the level that I want to play at, not how do I save on gas money and ride my bike places instead? Like, it's a totally different mindset, right? And I'm not trying to be insensitive to what's happening. And I know a lot of people are trying to save costs and maybe carpool and things like that with everything happening, but just it's a different mindset of how do we pull ahead. And this same guy that I'm thinking about, he challenged the people on the call, because we were talking a little bit about, yeah, I'm cutting some expenses, things that I'm not using, I'm trimming down. And he said, yeah, that's all great to figure out how to cut costs here and there, but I'm trying to figure out how to become a billionaire in this opportunity, in this market. How do I come out the other side and capitalize on something that is going to be a huge need in the business or in this industry or wherever it is that he's focusing on? And that's the kind of mindset that I'm like, man, I walked away from that conversation thinking, I got to approach this differently, because I'm getting too caught up in the whole gloom and doom, and let me just chill and cut my losses and play small and just ride this out until things turn around. He's like, no, I'm going to capture up market share, take opportunities, find opportunities, and capitalize on those opportunities as well, so he can come out on the other side further ahead than I am right now. So just wanted to challenge your thinking a little bit. If you are getting caught up in the gloom and doom and just trying to ride things out and hang on for dear life, get around the right people, think bigger, and get some encouragement that, yeah, these are the tough times that will separate the winners from the losers. And do you want to be in that winner bucket or the loser bucket? Make a decision, figure out what it takes to be in that winner bucket, what you're going to have to do. You may have to make some sacrifices, and what are you willing to do in order to get there? So with that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't already, drop any comments or questions in the video below. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you're subscribed. And I really would appreciate it if you share this with a friend, just one or two people who may need to hear this message, who maybe they're going like the turtles in their shells. Maybe they're doing that whole thing of talking doom and gloom and cutting costs here and there and being afraid to prospect or market or really take their business to the next level. If they need to hear this message, make sure to share this with them so that they have the encouragement and understanding that now is the time to push even harder, not to withdraw or retreat. But I'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk soon.